strong winds wreaking havoc in the metro.
When you can expect these gusts to die down, and when we'll see a chance for some rain.
More trouble at Aurora PD. A leaked report reveals a serious backlog of investigations. Tonight, we're asking who's responsible.
These issues have plagued the city of Aurora's police department for many years.
Every child deserves somewhere they can play, even if the parents have to build it themselves.
We often have to fight to get things for miles.
How you can help their mission, bringing an adaptive playground to their neighborhood. Next.
Well, this may not be the most peaceful night's sleep tonight. Winds are howling across the Front Range, 20 to 40 miles per hour.
Also, we have reports of multiple power lines down across the Denver metro. At last check, 2,100 customers are in the dark. That's down from nearly 10,000.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson will join us in just a moment with what is still to come tonight. We're going to start with Denver 7's Rob Harris live in South Denver, the Platt Park area. This is Emerson in East Colorado, and we have some big limbs and power lines down there, Rob.
Yeah, you can probably even hear the gust of wind over my microphone, see my hair flying in the wind. There's a lot of it out here, and I've actually seen the firefighters have to replace this caution tape already because the wind keeps blowing it down. You can see, though, beyond the tape, that huge branch from the tree that was blown down into that car. I don't know if it's showing over the screen as well, but there's also a down power line just behind that car that was presumably brought down when that branch came down. So that's what we're watching for tonight, are the downed trees and power lines from this wind. Xcel says they have the crews out here working to restore power to as many people as possible. Shannon and Jacqueline, you guys mentioned 2,100 customers are reported right now without power. That's down from about 7,000 as of an hour ago. So those crews are out here working to get power restored to those people. Also, we have the firefighters here trying to keep them, to keep people safe around these down power lines. But the message from Xcel is, if you see a down power line, assume that it is live and stay at least 25 feet away from it, guys.
All right, and we appreciate their quick work of that tonight, Rob. Thanks. And remarkably, we haven't seen any major damage, but not for Mother Nature's lack of trying. We clocked winds of 116 miles per hour today at Berthoud Pass.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson joins us. Mike, Mother Nature's not done with us yet tonight.
No, and look at this list of winds we've had in the last 12 to 18 hours. Up at Peak Breck, 103 miles an hour. Tabernash, 98 miles per hour. 80 up on Loveland Pass. Netherland, Georgetown, 65 to 70 miles per hour. Encar, they had 75 mile per hour winds. The winds are not quite as strong up in the foothills now, but look at them across the metro area. 40 miles an hour currently at DI. Broomfield at 35 miles per hour. These winds kind of come in waves, almost like crashing on the beach as they come off the mountains onto the plains. So it will vary quite a bit along the Front Range. We still have fire weather warnings in effect for tomorrow across much of eastern Colorado, and high wind warnings. The winter weather advisory to the west will expire overnight tonight as the snows are going to be coming down. But look at this list of all of the watches and warnings out on the eastern plains. Still a windy day coming up for tomorrow. Not much moisture out there. We'll say windy, but not quite as windy. Lighter mountain snows, still a cool day on Wednesday. Much nicer weather on the way by Friday. Details coming up in just a few. All
right, we'll see you in a few then. Thank you, Mike. And officials believe a down power line ignited this wildfire in the Carriage Hills area north of Boulder. A gust in that area this morning topped 70 miles per hour. Now, firefighters were able to quickly contain the blaze, keeping it to just a half acre in size.
In late December, strong winds turned the Marshall Fire into a disaster. It burned more than 1,000 homes in Boulder County, hundreds in Louisville. All new tonight, during a public hearing this evening, the Louisville City Council voted in favor of an ordinance that would allow homeowners who want to rebuild to opt out of the city's new green codes. Homeowners have complained that those green codes that make new building more energy efficient were also costly barriers to rebuilding, adding tens of thousands more to the price.
More trouble tonight for the Aurora Police Department. With a potential change in leadership looming, a leaked report reveals a long and serious backlog of investigations.
As Denver 7 CB Cotton reports, city leaders are now playing the blame game.
A scathing 4-page report.
It's shocking, and it's quite frankly appalling.
On Tuesday, Denver 7 spoke with Aurora city leaders, and they all agreed this report by an independent police records consulting firm detailing a backlog of more than 2,500 crime reports was unacceptable. But who is to blame? The attorney for Police Chief Vanessa Wilson says her client certainly isn't, and instead is pointing the finger at city leaders.
It's just another attempt to throw mud on Chief Wilson and claim this is all her fault so they could justify terminating her.
The report, first brought to light by Denver 7 Investigates, was published in March and said the city of Aurora faced a huge liability, with cases pertaining to child abuse, murder, and carjacking going uninvestigated, giving criminals a chance to reoffend. Attorney Paula Greisen says her client walked into the problem when she became police chief and has tried to fix it. But Greisen says Wilson's calls for help fell on deaf ears.
Chief Wilson, among others, has been asking for those issues to be addressed.
Greisen went on to say Wilson hasn't been given the resources or support to make changes within the department.
The city of Aurora is making it impossible for her to do that job when every day there's a barrage of bullets being thrown at her that undermine her.
The city says it's down to a little more than 1,200 delayed reports. And in a statement to Denver 7, Aurora City Manager Jim Twombly said in part, "These are not failures that have occurred overnight." And he outlined a series of steps the city is taking to reduce the backlog. But Greisen says a missing step is support for Chief Wilson.
It does not lie at Chief Wilson's feet. And if the city council had been doing their job, they would have been aware of this problem long before they leaked the report that they leaked today.
This all comes amid efforts to oust Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson. Multiple sources have told Denver 7 Investigates Wilson is on her way out, but is still negotiating her exit through an attorney. Jacqueline?
All right, thank you, CB. And tonight we're also hearing from the district attorneys covering Aurora. In a joint statement, DA Brian Mason and GA John Kellner say, quote, "Our first concern is to ensure that the public, and specifically victims of crime, are protected. Failures in processing police reports of new crimes or processing reports in ongoing investigations must be remedied immediately to both protect the public and the integrity of existing cases." You can read our entire report on the backlog of police cases in Aurora right now on thedenverchannel.com.
The fentanyl crisis is gripping Colorado, and as we have seen, it is not just adults now using this deadly drug. And coming up tonight on ABC News Nightline, a Colorado teenager and her father meet the Lafayette police officer who saved her life during an overdose.
This is for you. So that's her celebrating her birthday, which she was only able to experience because of you.
Well, thank you guys.
Plus, Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin on this broadcast opens up about the dangers of this drug.
What are you seeing as the biggest problem when it comes to the actual ingestion of fentanyl?
Folks think that this might be something else that they're ingesting. So bringing awareness to this issue that that pill may not be Percocet, that pill may not be Xanax, that pill may contain fentanyl and potentially could be deadly is critical.
And you can watch tonight's Nightline immediately following Jimmy Kimmel right here on Denver 7.
Roughly 200 people made their way to this Colorado State Capitol today to support MyPillow's CEO Mike Lindell and Mesa County Clerk of Courts Tina Peters, along with their debunked claims of a stolen election. On stage, Peters made false claims of voter irregularities during the 2020 election.
They want you to shut up. They want you to sit down. They want to pat your little head and say, "Nothing to see here. Move along, everybody." And we're too smart for that, aren't we?
Peters, who is running for Secretary of State, is facing felony charges for allegedly tampering with her county's election equipment. Now, the Colorado GOP has asked Peters to suspend her campaign because of her legal issues.
Well, tonight, Colorado leaders are paying tribute to a trailblazer. Gloria Tanner, the first black woman to serve as a Colorado State Senator and a member of the Colorado Women's Hall of Fame, has died. Our partners at the Denver Post report she died yesterday in her home in Denver. She was 86 years old.
A place for every kid to play.
He really enjoys playing on the playground, like most kids.
How you can help support an adaptive playground in Berthoud.
The wild winds from earlier today will start to calm down. I think you'll like the 7-day.
Plus, Lord Stanley in sight, a playoff spot up for grabs tonight in Pittsburgh.